listening to the Shared Security Podcast with Tom Eston and Scott Wright, exploring the trust you put in people, apps, and technology.
Silent Pocket is a proud sponsor of the Shared Security Podcast. Silent Pocket offers a patented Faraday cage product line of phone cases, wallets, and bags that can block all wireless signals, which will make your devices instantly untrackable, unhackable, and undetectable. Use discount code Shared Security to receive 15% off your order. Visit silent-pocket.com to take advantage of this exclusive offer. Joining me to discuss volunteering in the cybersecurity community, as well as the state of cybersecurity jobs and recruiting, is Kathleen Smith, CMO of clearedjobs.net and cybersecjobs.com. Kathleen is also the director of Higher Ground, which is the two-day career track at the BSides Las Vegas Security Conference. Welcome to the show, Kathleen.
Thank you, Tom. It's so great to be here. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you as well. So can you give our listeners just a quick overview of your background and maybe talk a little bit about clearedjobs.net and cybersecjobs.com?
Happy to. So I've been in the cybersecurity community only about 7 to 8 years, but I've been in recruitment marketing for almost 20. And I really look at recruitment marketing as leveraging the conversations between candidates and employers so that they better understand how to communicate with each other and connect with each other. So in my role with clearedjobs.net and cybersecjobs.com, I really get out into the community and talk to the employers, and I talk to the job seekers and really sort of find out what is the state of, workforce development at that point. A lot of us think that we need new tools, we need new, silver technology to be able to get out there and connect to find a job, when in actuality, it is really some basic research, it is some networking, and it is building your own career plan. So that is what I help job seekers with, and I help employers with. The basic two tools that I use to do that is a job board. Both clearedjobs.net and cybersecjobs are job boards, and also through career events. We're one of the only two companies that really combine career events with job board. And it's interesting, a lot of people don't realize that job boards have been around since 1994. They have evolved over the decades, but they are still the number two most used tool by employers for finding the candidates. So when someone is looking for a job and they're not including a job board in their overall toolkit, they're actually a little deficient in the number of tools that they can use, because networking is great. It's still the number one way that people find jobs, but you need to make sure that you're marketing yourself in a variety of ways to open up the opportunities that might be your next successful step into a good career.
Yeah, that's interesting you mentioned about job boards. I think a lot of us just focus right on LinkedIn, right, as our primary method of looking for jobs or advancing our career.
Right. Job boards, career events, it's amazing that a lot of people don't, you hear the word job fair and you think of that awful event you had to go to years ago at college or something like that. And career events have really evolved. We offer a lot of resume reviewing and career coaching. We also have workshops and seminars that happen right before our career event. We actually partner with EC Council to do an ethical hacking workshop. So they're really mini career development opportunities rather than that, dull thing that we all remember. And career events are evolving into bigger networking opportunities. You actually have that time to talk face to face with a recruiter, because a lot of us have this horrible impression of recruiters. That recruiter is that person that keeps bothering me on LinkedIn, keeps spamming me, when in actuality, you might want to be looking for a network of recruiters to be able to help you find your next job. But where are you going to find those recruiters, and where are you going to build a beginning step to a relationship with them? It's going to be a face-to-face conversation at a job fair.
So you've put out a few surveys recently. Can you talk about these surveys? And I know there was one recently on volunteering in the security community. What were those surveys about?
So the survey was really an idea that came out of my 4 to 5 years of volunteering into the community. I do a lot of volunteering at many of the BSides conferences throughout the country. And I was talking to a lot of people about how their passion was being in the community, supporting the community, doing what it took to get something done. But no one was really looking at volunteering as a career development tool. They were just saying, I'm just going to be the registration person, day in, day out for the rest of my life. But then I also saw other people who were taking these jobs and sort of growing within them and gaining skills and moving on to the next level and moving from a local conference to a national conference to an international conference. And these were people who were really looking at, I can develop my career by expanding different opportunities within the community. So we went to the community and asked, how many of you volunteer? How many of you volunteer for more than one event? And it was interesting that more than 41% of the people that we interviewed, they said that they volunteer for 2 or more different organizations and conferences, which is sort of staggering when you think about it, that most of us have full-time jobs, 10, 12 hours a day. We have family. We do a little off time. And then at the same time, supporting 2 other organizations that were not even paid to help. So I really felt that it was important to tell the community about this. Over 55% of the respondents had been volunteering for more than 4 years, and they give more than 8 hours a month to an organization. Now, to me, that sounded really low, because when I work alongside my colleagues at any of the BSides events, I know that they put in, at least 20 to 30 hours a month. What's also interesting is the skill set that a lot of people said that they came away with. So 81% said that they found that they had better teamwork skills. 79% were better at doing organizing. 74% were better at planning, and 75% had improved their communication skills. And this is fascinating because when you go to many of the workforce studies and people talk about they're looking for people who not only have the top-notch technical skills, but they're looking for people who are better planners, better organizers, that can lead a team, can be part of a team, and also can communicate to senior management what the risks are. So these skills were being gathered through community volunteering, and people weren't even realizing they were doing that. And they weren't even realizing that these are things that they could put on their resume, they could put on their LinkedIn profile. And so we really wanted to bring this out as a highlight, because so many people are looking to develop their career or to change where they are, and what are some of the things that they should be highlighting. So I found it very fascinating that a lot of people did actually tell their boss that they were doing volunteering, but they didn't actually explain what they were doing. They were just saying, I'm going to be, working these 3 or 4 hours and I'm not going to be available. Rather than going back to their manager and saying, I just finished this conference and I led a team of 10 people. I did workforce planning. I did resource planning. I managed a budget, I secured funding. These are all things you take to your management and say, in addition to the tasks that you asked me to do during the day, these are all the things I'm doing on my own. And I believe the combination of the two make me more valuable to you as an employee. And I like to grow within this company and be able to develop a career path here. Because what we find by the Department of Labor statistics is a lot of people in information security and technology tend to leave jobs after 13 months. And I think that it is a challenge within our community that we are not grooming ourselves for career paths within the companies that we work for. And our managers are not looking at the skills that we need to develop as an overall career path. So highlighting for people who are volunteering in the community, In addition to the things that you do at your work, these are all the skills that you are learning in your volunteering, and you should be taking it to your employer. On the flip side, we were also looking at companies know that their employees support the community, but the companies are not really looking at this as a employee retention tool or a recruitment tool. Being able to say, we will support you in the community. We see that value. Just let us know what you need. And the recruiting departments are not really looking at leveraging their employees being involved with conferences to build their sort of network of potential candidates down the road.
Yeah, I see that a lot. The companies that I've worked for are usually just out of touch of, things going on and events in the security community. And oftentimes I've had to say, hey, I'm speaking at this conference, or I know these people volunteering from the company. And they're often surprised and they're like, really? Like, I didn't even know that. And I think it's important that we engage our recruiters in our own internal company, and exactly what you said. Let's, tell them about the volunteers and the cool things that their own employees are working on.
It's fascinating that I look at all of the large conferences and I'm amazed at the amount of money that's spent from the marketing and communications departments, and so little comes from the recruiting department. Rather than developing a side-by-side plan, we're going to market, but we're also going to recruit. I did an article about 3 years ago after my first initial time at BSides Las Vegas, and I was just surprised at how many recruiters actually had to pay their own way to go to Hacker Summer Camp to build their own pipelines. And I just thought that was very short-sighted on many of the companies' parts.
Organizations' internal networks are overly permissive and can't distinguish trusted from untrusted applications. Attackers abuse this condition to move laterally through networks, bypassing address-based controls to spread malware. Edgewise abstracts security policies away from traditional network controls that rely on IP addresses, ports, and protocols, and instead ties controls directly to applications and their data paths. Edgewise allows organizations to analyze the network attack surface and segment workloads based on the software and how it's communicating. Edgewise monitors applications and protects data paths using zero-trust segmentation. Visit edgewise.net to get your free month of visibility.
Now, you've mentioned the Higher Ground career track at the BSides Las Vegas conference. Can you talk a little bit about that? And is there anything planned, maybe that's new for this year's conference?
So this is definitely a passion for me. I was so thrilled that the BSides Las Vegas team just welcomed me. I mean, I'm a marketer. I'm not a Python developer or anything like that. And they were so welcoming. The whole team, and they had their first career track about 4 years ago, and I do between 17 and 25 career events a year, and have done that for the last 15 years. So I might know a little bit about putting together a career track. So when I went to the first one, I totally saw what they were trying to do, and it's just putting together a career event is just a slightly different animal than putting together a con. So I actually hung out and helped out the organizers. Several of the speakers did not show up, so I ended up presenting and grabbing recruiters from the community and saying, come on, let's get up here and do a panel. And from there, I was sort of voluntold or asked if I would help. And I was very excited about that. So we've created with Higher Ground a hybrid. It's career track and career event combined, and it goes the entire 2 days of BSides Las Vegas. We're right near the main chill out room. We have between 8 and 9 exhibitors who are specifically there with just their recruiters in the room. And then we have sessions going on during the 2 days that are focused on different aspects of career development. So some of the sponsors are welcome to submit a talk. We obviously don't ask for, or we don't approve talks that are very vendor related, but we ask, what's your hiring process like? What are some tips you can give to the community? And then we have the community also submit talks, and we've had several really phenomenal presentations. These are all already recorded on the Higher Ground, BSides Las Vegas Higher Ground YouTube. And then there's several people in the community I asked to come in and speak. Since I'm from the Washington, D.C. area, I really look at public service, and I don't think we talk a lot about public service in the community as a career path. So I was fortunate to have the former Undersecretary for DHS come in and talk about her career within the government, the CTO of the FTC. This last year, I had a entrepreneur who really talked about his career and the different things that he's done. So we picked different community leaders to talk about their career, and then we also bring in a kickoff presenter. We've had Leslie Carhart last year. This year, we're going to have Chris Roberts. So just sort of talking about how people who are part of Higher Ground should really focus about their career and their job search challenges during the 2 days. And then we have some phenomenal recruiters from the community that have been longtime friends, and they pay their own way to fly to Las Vegas, and they'll just sit there and they'll review resumes for 2 days straight. We also have other career mentors who come in who just sort of sit down. We have several who are from, the security cleared space, others who are veterans, and then others who are from the commercial space who just sit down and really talk to people, 15, 20 minutes of their challenges, what they're really looking for. We've had several phenomenal successes with that. A lot of people who were really sort of stuck in their career search, and it was really more they had wrapped their head around a notion, and the recruiter said, look, stop that. You're your own worst enemy. So it's always fun. It's two very exhausting days, but very fulfilling days. It's grown. We usually see about 500 people come through Higher Ground of the overall conference. So I'm very excited about it. And this year, what are we going to do differently? Last year, the career mentoring really took off. So we'll still have 4 people doing resume reviewing, and we'll have 2 to 3 different career mentors. About 50% of the time is dedicated to career track presentations. And as I said, Chris Roberts has agreed to do our kickoff. I haven't quite found who I want as our civil service presenter. And that's about it. I'm looking for a year without any changes, because we spent the last 3 years just growing and evolving and developing, and I think it's now time to sort of cruise for a year and see what we need to tighten up a little bit.
That is awesome. Well, I definitely always recommend everybody, go to BSides Vegas, and definitely people that are looking for new jobs or trying to advance their career. I think the Higher Ground track is just awesome.
Highly recommend people looking at, if you're a first-time presenter, submitting your talk to Proving Ground. Especially, we need more women to be presenting. So if you've got an idea, submit it. It's great at Proving Ground, where we have mentors that sort of walk you through the process. There's so many different ways to get involved that it's not just a ticket. There are so many other ways you can be involved.
So it's the beginning of the year, and I think a lot of people get the idea that, maybe they want to explore a new career or change new jobs. Do you have any advice for potential cybersecurity job seekers, or maybe those that might be looking to make a change in their current career?
I do. So the first is plan rather than react. I think a lot of us get very angry and frustrated in our job, and we react, and then we just sort of throw together a resume and throw it up on a job board or a LinkedIn or something like that, and then you just sort of don't take responsibility for your career search or for your day-to-day responsibilities, and you end up burning a bridge. So plan. What have you done? What would you like to do? What are you good at? And what are you not good at? And really, job search is hard because we have to do a lot of introspection. I can't tell you how many times people send me their resume and say, "What job do you have for me?" And one, a resume doesn't tell me everything about you. I don't know what you want to do. And so, really look at planning. What is the next career step for you? What skill sets do you need to grow into? And do you really need to leave your current company to do that? As I said earlier, people switch jobs without looking at the opportunities within their own company. This the second is network rather than spam. So I'm frequently amazed at how many people do not have a network of recruiters. We have a network of colleagues. We have people who recommend movies to us. We have people who recommend restaurants or vacation spots. But our job is a very big part of our life, yet we don't have a group of recruiters who are our advisors that we network with and say, "Hey, I'm looking for a job." The good recruiters I know in the community keep in touch with people for years. They know if they meet a phenomenal candidate, they might not have a job for them then, but they'll keep in touch with them. And so it is your job as a job seeker, as a candidate, to develop a list of recruiters that you keep in touch with and say, I'm thinking about a change. Do you have anything, or do you know someone who might have something? And the third point would be get out into the community and get a new perspective. I find that my volunteer work allows me to step outside of my roles and my responsibilities and spread my wings a little bit. And I then understand the value that I bring to my company, and I understand what I really like to do and what I don't like to do. And I also use it as an opportunity to try things out that I may be interested in. So I know I'm not the greatest at finance, but sometimes I will get on the sponsorship board just so that I can see what is it really like to get out there and sell or meet a budget. And getting out into the community helps you see what other careers people are doing. It helps you with your networking, and it also might give you that sort of refresher that you need of your overall morale and your spirit, to the point you might say, maybe I just need to get out into the community and not necessarily change my job.
Yeah, this is all great advice. So, how can our listeners find out more about you and what you're involved with?
So, as you probably know, Tom, my primary communication is over Twitter. People are welcome to email me at ksmith@cybersecjobs.com. But my Twitter handle is, yes, it's Kathleen. And that's the social media I stay with. I know there's so many others out there that I don't like being spread among so many different channels. I dabble on Facebook. I do keep my LinkedIn profiling and presence up to date, but Twitter's where I hang out the most.
Excellent. And is there a place that people can go to see the survey results that you talked about?
Yes, so we have it on SlideShare, but it's also on cybersecjobs.com /cybersecurity community volunteering report. Sorry, long URL.
Not a problem. We'll have all that linked in our show notes for our listeners.
Great.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Kathleen, for joining the show, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Thanks, Tom.